Onstage, Onstage with Jim Onstage, Onstage with Jim Onstage, Onstage with Jim Onstage, Onstage with Jim
Tonight we are very excited to welcome the band Royal Jelly Jive to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. Royal Jelly Jive is a high-energy soul rock band from San Francisco who are ready to get you moving and grooving while they melt your hearts. See, I used to write these myself, but it's just like more fun to read what the band describes their sound as, which is what I just did.
Wait, did we write that?
You wrote that.
Oh, God.
I wrote this, though. This is a band that has a lot of momentum, and that is fun, but what's even more fun is that they are thoughtful folks that put a lot of their life and experiences into their art. Tonight we'll explore the art, we'll get deep and philosophical as we do, and later the band will play us a collection of songs. Please welcome to the program, Royal Jelly Jive.
Yeah. Hello. 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 Oh, God.
Hello.
We ended it on a strong note. So this is a band that has a lot of press out there on the internet, and I love everybody, but most articles about this band spend half the time analyzing your genre. And that's cool, but I feel like there's a lot more to this band than that. Would you agree with that? Yes.
I sure hope so.
I hope so too.
What is the genre?
Let's not.
No.
Can we just not, please?
Well, you brought it up.
In the interest of not talking about it, yes, I brought it up. A lot of these things that you sing about, a lot of the experiences you've had, make it to the music. Is that correct?
Totally.
And I feel like, Lauren, I don't really know you, but I just kind of feel like when you get in the zone and when you start playing, I feel like you really take it. I feel like you really feel everything in the song as much as you can and try to bring it to the performance. Would you say that's correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys are talking about relationships. You're talking about experiences. You're talking about things that have happened. So I'd like to kind of go into some of that and kind of have everybody throw in what songs mean to them. I know a lot of them have to do with your guys' Jesse and Lauren's personal lives because you guys are the co-songwriters, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a correct statement? And just for everyone out there who doesn't know, these two are romantically involved or are
Right in this very
moment
under this table.
It's very important context.
You just disappointed so many ladies out there after Jesse Lemme Adams.
So I know a lot about the second album because when the second album came, you guys had momentum and there's a lot of press out there about it. You talk about a lot of those experiences and we'll get to that. But let's talk a little bit about the self-titled debut first, just because this is sort of a retrospective and kind of where this band's at. That was your first album. Is there anything on that album that experience-wise or philosophically, whatever stands out to you as significant?
Yes, to me that album's like almost like anthropological because Lauren came back from so many experiences underwater, deep sea diving in the Mediterranean, or being on a Nevis with some old woman trying to recreate. Like it was very much like a world. Traveling the world. I mean, you could speak to some of the songs but I mean, she came back with some really amazing stories, and that's one thing that album will always have. I think that it speaks to so many, like she wrote one of the songs underwater, inspired by a fish that was hopping around, and
See, now that's a point of overlap between Lauren and Tom. Tom has had many experiences with wildlife and have had conversations with such things.
That's true.
Did you talk to the fish, Lauren?
I often send my love to the fishes.
Yeah. Okay. But what about this fish in particular that inspired this song? What tell us about that fish?
Okay. I was ready to tell you about another fish, but that's okay.
No, tell me about the other fish, and then we'll go back.
Well, if you've ever heard of getting nitrogen narcosis or getting narked when you're underwater, some divers can get this where too much nitrogen seeps into your bloodstream, and you start hallucinating, and you can just do some really crazy things down there. And I was on a dive in Cozumel, Mexico, where there was a fish telling me, I love you, and I was like, I love you too. And I just kept following him, and I actually had my diver with us pull on my fin because I was just going deeper and deeper. We were over 100 feet, and I just kept going, and I just totally forgot my bearings. Everyone was 15 feet above me, and I would have just followed this fish down to my demise. It was so lovely. And then the other fish, it actually wasn't a fish, it was a sea polyp. So I was participating on a survey, a reef check in Big Sur. And so we were just sort of keeping an eye on maintaining the health of the reef in Big Sur at the Big Creek Marine Reserve. And we were diving for about 4 or 5 days there. And I think it was maybe my, third dive, like 2 days in. And so I spent about, maybe like 50 minutes at about 50 feet. So when you go beyond 30 feet for a while, you have to spend 3 minutes at 15 feet to decompress, just to let things sort of go back in your body, back to normal. And so I'm just sitting here, killing time for 3 minutes, looking around, holding on to some kelp, giant kelp that goes to the top. And as I look around, there's this little sea polyp, which is pretty much like a big clear jelly bean the size of your hands. It has a heart and a mouth, I guess maybe a digestive system. I'm not totally a marine biologist, but that's all you can see to this thing. A muscle, it just sort of pumps, and it just, as it moved, I could just hear its movement. Bum, 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 dum, bum, 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 bum. And because it sort of had that 1, 2, 3, run, dun, dun, and then it moved upward, dum, bum, bum. And so it was almost like I could see the staff and it moving through the music staff, the grand staff. And I just happened to have this underwater writing tablet, which is essentially waterproof paper on PVC, just like screwed into it, and a little charcoal pencil attached to my BC. So I just scribbled down this little poem as it came to me, and I actually have to give it to my dive instructor, the safety officer in Moss Landing, Diana Steller, because at a campfire, she was like, opera of Pterogophora, and she put these words in my head. And Pterogophora is this amazing kelp. It's in the subcanopy, so it only grows a few feet off the ground, so you really have to get down below it.
Also track 4 on the album.
Also track 4, Pterogophora, that's correct. And the reason it was so important to me is because the surge in Big Sur is just so crazy. I mean, I am on video. Okay. I'll just show you. So you're just...
For the audio listener, Lauren is standing up. And
I'm standing up. Okay, I'm holding on to the microphone because it's strong and everything else is flimsy, but I can hold on to it like this. Woo! Woo!
Don't get swept away.
Woo! And you're trying to count like stars or match the substrate and write numbers down. It's crazy. So Pterogophora, this kelp, because it had like a strong wooded trunk, like a tree trunk, it was the only thing you could hold on to and not just fly away with the ocean and it just take you away. And so it just became the opera of Pterogophora.
Is Jessie in some ways your Pterogophora?
Oh.
What?
That's deep. That's deeper than diving.
Deep ocean.
And then he asked a question.
Absolutely.
No one was expecting.
Yes. Because it's true. I would totally be adrift without him. And not just in a romantic way, but I feel like I have an overflowing amount of creativity. And one of Jessie's many talents is just like honing in an idea and manifesting and putting it to action and following it through in the producer sense. And so our collaboration has been extremely fruitful.
You are an artist in the truest sense of the word. From like my vantage point watching you play, you embody so much. I mean, you get overtaken by your art. Sometimes you don't even like know where the art's taking you, but you see it through because that's what you need to do in order to do it. And I love that. That was really fun to watch.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That album, though, self-titled album, there's a lot. I mean, Indian George, I don't know who that is. Lady Luna, I don't know who that is. Rumi's Lullaby, I don't know who that is. Is there anything worth going into before we like really dive into Stand Up? Because Stand Up's the album I know a lot about. I know nothing about the first album.
You should do Indian George because that's something real big.
Well, they're all real.
Yeah.
Let's get real.
In short, I would just wanted to say Rumi is this incredible poet. He was a Sufi. He started the whirling of the dervishes as a practice of
This is the last track on the album, Rumi's Lullaby.
I'm making this one just short so I can tell you about Indian George, but his ideas are so beautiful in just unifying people and just this idea of life, whether you are existential about it or have a whole different sort of optimism thing going on, just that it's okay, whatever happens in life. And that sometimes like the abrasiveness and the aggravating things that can happen, it's just like polishing a mirror. Like we love mirrors. We want to see the world around us. We want to see ourselves. And the mirror has to be polished. And so that song is just about that, about needing to polish yourself and letting that happen so that you can just be and see the world around you. And then...
Can I ask a question before you leave?
Yeah.
Was it significant to end the album on that note?
Yes.
Like, did the album culminate in that at all?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just think
No, that's okay.
worth mentioning. Indian George, track 7.
I just wanted to tell you about both.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I started my 20s thinking that I was going to do underwater archaeology, and I got as far as my master's program in applied anthropology at San Jose State. And through there, I had this amazing mentor, Mr. Meniketti, and I went with him to excavate with some others. We were practicing our field work, and we went and excavated a former slave village under a British sugar plantation in the West Indies on the island of Nevis. And I spent some of my free days riding the buses around the island, and I eventually met Miss George, which is funny because I thought her name was Miss Judge for a long time, but I realized it was just her accent. She's Miss George, and she would sit there. She's the only one on the island and a few nearby islands that makes Afro-Nevesian pottery, these ceramics that are in the tradition of the Nevesians and possibly the Africans that came there through the slave trade. And so what we find while we were excavating the slave village was mostly shards of pottery and ceramics. But what's so great is that the patina, the material, the form, any little design, anything, you can date where the ceramics was made, what time, maybe within 100 years or so, and the actual place it's coming from. And we were finding pieces from Spain, porcelain from China, all kinds of things. So we could kind of paint a little bit of a picture of how these people were living. And so basically we spent a lot of time mulling over the ceramics that we found, and a lot of the Afro-Nevesian ware that we were finding in the dirt while we were excavating was just like the ceramics that Miss George was making. So I got really interested in her work because she told me about this one spot on the island that she can trace back a couple, like maybe 3 generations. Her great-grandmother was going there with a bucket of water, waiting till the spring, cleared, and then she could go get the iron oxide for the slip. And, there's only a small gap of time between then and when the village was preoccupied. So I was just really excited about just, somehow discovering some sort of lineage between Miss George and where she came from. And so I spent time talking to her about that. And she told me, the people used to call my daddy Indian George because they thought that he was one of the, they were the Arawak or the Carib tribes that were living on the islands who were also enslaved at the time with the Africans. And so they were living side by side. I mentioned that in the lyrics. And basically, there are a few people on the island and a few families that some of the folks think still have the Indian blood. And their hair is straighter and longer and thinner, a little more red. Their skin is a little bit more fair. And so everybody called him Indian George, and this man was a great man. That was a long background.
That was great.
Okay, I never get to tell people all the details, so it's really wonderful to just get the full story out. And so Indian George was a wonderful man. He was a sailor who knew how to swim. And that sounds a little crazy to us, but in fact, a lot of the people working on the ships and boats...
Well, they thought it was bad luck if you knew how to swim.
Yeah.
Sailors that were going to sea in the 14 through 16 and even a little bit later than that thought that it was actually bad luck to be a sailor and know how to swim. That means that you may need to know how to swim.
Right.
And you don't want to have to swim ever.
That's hopeful thinking.
What a superstition.
Yeah, it was a weird superstition.
Yeah.
A lot of them refused to learn.
Yeah, well, Indian George could swim, and it's funny because it's not funny. It's amazing. He saved boatloads of people. There were these shallow-bottomed, lighter boats. Sorry, I slipped for a moment. The lighter boats that would go back and forth between the islands, bringing the sugarcane back and forth, St. Kitts and all the others. And basically, the ships would go over, and he swam, and there were multiple times that he swam many people to and from the wreck to shore, from the wreck to shore, and he was a hero. So I guess somewhere in the early 1900s, at some point, a recording was made, and there was a jingle, a song, Indian George, he saved so many lives. And that's all Miss George can tell me. She didn't remember a melody. She had no clue where to find a record. I looked for a long time, for months, and could find nothing of the song. So I had some gypsy jazz chords going, and we worked out the song, and just wanted to keep this man's name alive.
That was the best context for why we're doing what we're doing right now. The interest that you have in archaeology, or had in archaeology, the interest in going to a place and trying to find out what these people were all about and where they were from and what time it was, that's what we're doing right now. And why it's especially significant is this album, which came out in 2014 that we're talking about. Think about what your lives were like prior to this album. How different. You two weren't dating. I don't know how far back all you folks go in terms of friendship with each other. This band didn't exist prior to 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Life is so significantly different because you all met and you made this album, and look where it's taken you. So I think there's real value in sort of prying into it and kind of like giving context for stuff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Because it really resonated with me. That what you did over there is kind of what we're doing tonight, but for your art and your projects.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Is there anything else on that album that is interesting and worth mentioning? There's so much I know, but anything that really, do whatever you want. Go track by track. I could care less. We could do a 4-hour episode if you want. I don't care.
Troy is about, the politics of everything, history, art, artifacts. It's really just about the misunderstanding of artifacts and how things can be blown up into proportions because, what is Troy, quote unquote, Troy today that millions of tourists go to see every year and pay to see the wooden horse and take the little picture. It's not Troy. The fortified walls were not big enough. The city wasn't big enough. And when we're talking about strata, the artifacts were just not at the right date associated with the stories. And, I love I just love, all we can do is interpret what's in front of us and try to make sense of it. And that's what happened. And then, these beautiful treasures that belonged to Turkey or the Ottoman Empire at the time were taken out of the nation and put into someone else's museum, and the stories changed it's just about how we sort of romanticize the little things.
Stand Up is track number 3. Is there anything you'd like to say about Stand Up or Alhambra? it just seems like you have so much to say about each thing.
Alhambra. So I love...
You're the best guest. I love this. Go.
I love Islamic art and architecture. I just think it's just the epitome of seeing the beauty in nature and trying to recreate it. And at sort of the peak of Islamic architecture, the Moors were in Spain, and they built Alhambra, and in Granada, and this like beautiful puzzle of a fortified walled palace that's like, it's so crazy. I haven't even been there, but it's beautiful. But I know so much about it because I just love how it was built. And it's based around this idea of reflecting light. And so there's this thing called a muqarna. And this is the big line in the song, Muqarna's made for your eyes. And it's all about that, a muqarna is a niche, as if you were to take your finger and just scoop out a little niche in a wall, and something about that concavity allows light to come in and reflect. And so they went crazy with these muqarnas, just everywhere, tiers and tiers of them. It just looks beautiful in pictures. I'm sure it's amazing there. But what's so beautiful is this palace was made with no doors. It's just a series of openings and then a big garden in the middle, and it's just built. It's built for light. It's built to reflect light and to live in a palace of light. And I'm not quoting anyone on that. I'm just digging into the facade here. And I just think that's a beautiful metaphor.
How is that structure a beautiful metaphor for life?
Well, I think ideally I would like to do my best to make the framework or foundation of my life in the same way. I think about it as like the foundation or the outside. So like I would want to surround myself with people that reflect light, with people that inspire me, with people that just represent really good ideals and things in this life. And I guess like the health, like you could also think of your body as a temple, and just like that is my goal is to just be a light and emanate whatever feelings I have, and hopefully people can relate to them, and hopefully there's something good there in the end. But just to like craft yourself, like that idea of polishing yourself and just working on oneself and one's world around them, so that you can truly just, I don't know, like what do mirrors do? They just open up, right? When you're in a room full of mirrors, it feels like eternal. It just feels like you can see forever. And it can change a space in a moment. So light is a big metaphor for me. It's like everything.
Boy, oh boy. That's and we only talked like 5 tracks on that album. Isn't that crazy?
There's 10 more. There's 10 more, and you can buy it online.
You can.
Yeah.
You can buy it online. All right, let's make a deal. You guys have a new album coming out at some point. Let's have you back on, and then we can go back to track 1 or to album 1, and we can kind of explore what we left behind, because there's so much stuff we haven't talked about on that album.
Sure.
Let's go to a second album, which I actually know a thing or two about. So the album has a bunch of tracks, 13 tracks. I won't go track by track because I know it's getting later. So it seems like the first album was based on these like grand experiences, huge, monumental, worldly experiences. Seems like the second album is a little more narrowed in. People that you idolize, a place that you fell in love, Chinatown. That has to do with this, right?
Yeah.
What happened in Chinatown?
That was the night.
That
I'm just kidding.
that was the night the
was
jelly
a
hit
night.
the jive.
That was a night.
No,
Whoa.
just briefly.
That was special.
Best quote of the episode.
It was a birthday party for a really good friend of ours, and they rented out an old Chinatown movie theater and just threw the biggest, most fun party we've ever.
Yeah.
We played a show. Kristen Wiig was dancing next to us. It was just like a huge, fun, amazing, very like film noir experience, and it was the first night where we also connected. And so part of the song is being sung from her singing about Chinatown and what it means to her, and then the other part is me singing it about the love that we had when we fell. We kind of, it was like when you realize the other person's there, and you start to wonder like, where did they go? I want to go find them. That kind of thing. That's when it officially started to become kind of that connection that we couldn't, that the music and our personalities, we just like couldn't quite escape each other. We wanted to be by each other's side. So that was the first night it happened, and that song is kind of a love song, an ode to that.
I think it's really interesting. I don't know how much you craft these albums as like concepts, but like that first album, it's like so grandiose, and this one, it's like so like zeroed in. Each thing doesn't need to have like I was over in Syria doing this thing. It's more like, hey, I like this person a lot, and this was the night where a lot happened. Or, hey, Tom Waits is an inspiration. Let's talk about that. Is that true of the whole album, or are there touches of what you put on the first album on the second album?
I think there are touches definitely there. I think most importantly with the second album, we were really just getting people up to feel good and have a good time, and just stand up for what they believe in and what they want. And even our relationship was a little bit of that, or sticking with music was that. And when it comes to specific songs, I would almost say Bad, which Jesse wrote for me, and not for me, but inspired by a situation of just needing to come out as a person and being okay with it. I try to be the best person that I can, and I come from Modesto, California, Central Valley, agrarian, a Roman Catholic family. I was raised in Catholic schools, and education was a big part, like science and medicine, big part of my family growing up. And so moving to San Francisco and really discovering myself as an artist and a musician and a vagabond and a drifter in life, and every part of it, a traveler, each step was really hard to feel brave enough to just do what I felt inside, to finally just like go to Turkey and like my family didn't, I don't know. I love my family so much, and they have given me every drop that has fed my creativity, but
Turkey probably worried them in 2013.
Definitely that.
I feel like though, like families, if they haven't treated you poorly, they're well intentioned, but maybe their intentions are like trying to give advice to themselves if you were them, as opposed to giving advice to you because you are you. So that can be conflicting if you're not confident in your own skin.
Right, and everybody and they just want the best for you. Everyone wants the best for each other.
Say our families want the best for us, and the life of a traveling nomadic artist musician is a gnarly, twisty path. It's difficult. It can be really painful, and I always say I would never recommend it to anyone, but it works for me. That's kind of quoting Hunter Thompson as well, who said I'd never recommend drugs, alcohol, violence, or insanity to anyone, but it's always worked for me. And the life of a musician, if you're cut from that cloth, it works for you, but it is hard to explain that to other people.
First of all, we're all freaks right here. Like this section of musicians, like if we didn't have music, we seriously would be working on a blockbuster video somewhere.
I'd be insane.
But Lauren had this one. She had a brief moment to choose between grad school and art and all this other stuff, or become this. Because she wasn't always like a singer. Like she played music, but it wasn't like, oh, she's the singer, and she's like, we've all been playing music. And then it was like a moment where she had to make that leap. Am I going to be in this band or not? Or are we going to follow this? And it's, we've all made this leap together in a sense. And that's the reason why this band is so strong, is because we have this family that's like literally willing to do anything at this point.
See, that to me, that's what Top Hat is about, actually. I would say like Bad and Top Hat are like two sides of the same thing. Like Bad is like, I'm gonna do what I need to do. It may be bad, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna embrace this. And Top Hat is basically the way, this is only my interpretation, but we are all your top hat. We and in our each other's thing that is both safe and inspiring. This is when I have my top hat, there I know where I'm at, and I don't need anything else. And so we did write that song sort of together on stage.
I don't know, just when you meet your people, when you're with people who just allow you to shine, and you shine brighter because they're there with you, and they shine brighter because you're supporting them. That's just so great, and I love that. I did. The point Felix made was pretty good. Like Top Hat is sort of the antithesis of that feeling of like, bad is like, I'm bad. I feel like I'm down in shambles. I feel this, but you know what? God gave me this, and I earned it, and here I am. And then it's sort of like I don't know. Okay.
As you previously said in an interview about Bad, if you can't make yourself happy, what else can?
Oh yeah. It's true. You just gotta be. It's true. I'm glad I said that once. I should say it again.
It was a good thing to say.
That was a good thing to say, but it's true. I mean, you can really only truly make yourself happy. And some days I can't even do that. I told you I had an all right day. Today I woke up and I just I couldn't get this feeling out. And I tried yoga. I tried coffee, water. I tried all these different things, and it just doesn't go away. I'm not going to take an antidepressant or something, and I don't need to start drinking, but it's there, and that's okay too. And that's sort of the alternative. I mean, I'm speaking. Jesse wrote these words, and I'm just going on and on. But that's it too. Sometimes you just feel bad, and you just need to just shout it to the heavens, and that's just what it is.
You got to own what you are, where you are, when you are. You're not always gonna be one way, and you can't always be the way you think you're expected to be. You got to be real. There's this thing, coming from a Jewish background, when we go to the synagogue to pray, we have a special prayer shawl that we wear. We have a yarmulke that we put on our head. It's like these accoutrements that we put on to sort of change how we feel when we're wearing the special garb. And there's really something about putting on a top hat, or having some soul beads draped around you, or just being dressed to the nines. You go from feeling bad to feeling like a badass.
Yeah.
And it does change your mindset, and it just makes you feel like you're free, like you're there, you're on the stage.
It's
you're
transformative.
in the spotlight. It is transformative.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Thelonious Monk said when he was asked, so how do we dress? As sharp as possible, and as if it was always night.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes. Just want to throw that
You
in.
got some good quotes over
I
there.
think it's great.
Yeah.
The album ends with the track Green Grass. Is there any significance to it ending with that track? Would you like to share that significance with us?
Every day I have a new interpretation of that song. That is a Tom Waits cover written by him and his wife, Kathleen. And, man, it's just so bittersweet. I feel it's just like I was mentioning with Rumi's Lullaby. It's like, I think that anybody can put themselves in the song, but just the idea of being nostalgic, lay your head where my heart used to be, hold the earth above me. It's just, I don't know, just what feelings the words evoke in the picture. Just, I imagine just laying down in like darkness at the end and just reflecting back on all that was good and how painful that is to remember something good. And that's what that song reminds me of. And it's just like, oh, you go back and you remember the best things, and why are they so painful to remember? That is the ultimate like definition of what is bittersweet. And so however that plays out into each person's life, for me that's what it is. It's like the beautiful things, and remember when you loved me. Like that could even be an object or a moment saying remember when you loved me. Like just, or I don't know. And we grow out of things, and we grow away from things, just like the green grass, and it's cut and it's it burns up and it just keeps growing, and I don't know, it's beautiful. Like it seems like a really optimistic thing, and then there's the whole idea of is the grass greener on the other side? Like it totally evokes that. Kathleen and Tom Waits, I don't know if I'm way off on this, but that's what I feel. That's what I feel.
It's a great interpretation. There's no way you're off.
Thanks. Anyway, so it was a sad song. It was hard to perform, really. I also feel like it is my best and truest recording that I've ever done. I don't feel like anything else I've recorded has ever felt like it captured me. Like my soul is in that song. And I mean, I didn't write it, but I felt it. And I'm there. Like my soul is there in that. And everything that I felt in that is there. And I feel like that's what recording music is all about. And you're lucky if you can get that. So I'm happy. I'm really happy about that.
It's exciting that the project has momentum, and it's exciting that you guys are going to keep doing what you're doing on the next album and whatever follows. We always end the episode with this prompt. Tom Gaffey, do you have any thoughts about Royal Jelly Jive?
Royal Jelly Jive.
You've watched this man grow up in front of your very eyes.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Jesse, Lemme. And I think if when these guys get really big, we've got a wall up in the men's room that still has Lemme written on it.
That is so nice.
This man has his own urinal at the Phoenix
I
Theater.
love that you know where it is.
But I do have to say, you're talking about characters and growing up with, like, Tom, since the beginning, was one of the first people to hear me play music.
Yeah.
Like, my first show was here. I was part of the Phoenix School of Music. Yeah. I had some of my favorite shows with Gumbasia, the band I was in, where we'd have black lights and mannequins in that lobby and just like go nuts and play weird dark jazz, Thelonious Monk. And it was like just like this guy was always like, that was badass.
Yeah,
that was cool. Like
that
just
was a
like
badass
whatever
band.
I did, I felt like he supported it, and I was just always like, if Tom's down, I'm down type thing. And a good
Yeah, I don't think I ever had a bad time watching you play music.
Royal Jelly Jive is good, and it's been very satisfying to see you guys have success. And thank you for
Thank you.
bringing so much to the conversation tonight. Thank you for playing the music that you played, and everyone's about to see it. So with that, the talking is done. The music is about to begin. Stick around for that. Royal Jelly Jive, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've come undone right at the seams. Can't fix what's broken. I can't fix these dreams. Don't you worry about a thing. Don't feel that sorry. Just let it swing. God gave me what I have, but I earned it on my own. Don't you stop me if it feels bad. Just leave me all alone. I'm down in shambles, dirt on my knees. Yeah, roam and ramble. Yes, I'm begging for peace. It's not a story that ends so well. I take the potion, I cast the spell. Oh, maybe if I was a better girl, I'd be good and I'd be true. But I'm bad and it's a crazy world. So I'm singing this for you. It breaks my heart that I feel this way. Oh, but there's nothing left that I can do. I've got nothing left to say. So I'm singing this for you. I'm bad. Oh, it's so bad. I'm bad. Feeling so bad. by the tracks, wore rusty steel right on his back. Chewed sugar cane like it was gum. He always walks, oh, when he's on the run. He doesn't talk, he's never late. Dear Mr. Waits, dear Mr. Waits. His sawdust eyes never blink. He coughs up blood, or when he drinks, he holds his own in a dog fight. He likes to bark before he bites. He sleeps alone down by the graves. Dear Mr. Waits,
Dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits,
I hear your voice, but you're not there. I can't find you much, you're everywhere. Follow your howl into the night. You're on the prowl, you're out of sight. You make up facts I know are true. Tell real tall tales right out the blue. We write them down, draw on our maps. We spin the globe, put on our hats. While you create, don't hesitate. Dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits.
dear Mr. Waits.
I call your name into the night. I feel no shame, but I know it's not right. You ate the hug, but left the bait. You kept your soul, you sold your fate. Dear Mr. Waits,
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 oh dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits,
dear Mr. Waits.
dear Mr. Waits,
Yeah. Oh, dear Mr. Waits.
dear Mr. Waits,
Yeah. Dear Mr. Waits.
dear Mr. Waits,
Oh, dear Mr. Waits.
dear Mr. Waits.
Dear Mr. Waits. I'm all alone in the middle of the night. Got this feeling, I feel this fright in my bones, yeah, a rattle in my shoes. I know it well, got them all alone blues. Fill me up with something more, something happy from the farm. Another glass to ease my soul. Make it fast before I'm gone. I got the Boneyard Blues. Boneyard Blues. Boneyard Blues. Boneyard Blues. I feel it deep down in my soul. Gotta cure it with rock and roll. Another drink, take off the edge. I'm gonna make it from this point, yeah, till the end. I make friends on the way. I make paces and they're here to stay. I just want just one more tonight to deal with this pride. I got the Boneyard Blues. I got the Boneyard Blues. Boneyard Blues. Boneyard Blues. got this right in my bones, yeah, rattle in my shoes. I know it well, these all alone blues fill me up with something